Hi and welcome to, yes, it's another Steam Deck video. And in this one we're going to be looking at Battlefield 5, whoa, and asking, is it worth, is it a good game to play on the Steam Deck? That didn't do much damage, did it? And is it a good game to play sort of anyway? So how technically does it run? And then is it a good game which you could think about playing? Because this now, Battlefield 5, at the moment in January 2024, let me get the year right, is actually the most played Battlefield game in terms of concurrent numbers on Steam. It's higher than the current Battlefield. So the current Battlefield is Battlefield 2042, which was an absolute disaster on launch, and it's got into a more acceptable state now. But Battlefield 5, which is set in World War II, has more players playing it concurrently, so you're more likely to get a game. And also it has more players than Battlefield 1, which is still sustainable in the evenings, kind of UK time. Oh, that sniper got me. But during the day UK time, there's not that many people playing it, and Battlefield 4, unfortunately, is down to not that many players at all. So Battlefield 5, how does it run? Well, as you can see, if you look at the top right hand corner, I'm running currently between about 35 and 50 frames a second. I've got the game on low settings, but what you find is, because the Steam Deck screen is kind of so small, it's only 7.4 inches diagonally, and oh no. Oh dear, and it's 800p, so it's 1280 by 800, and it's incredibly sharp because of this OLED panel. Even on low settings, this looks really, really nice indeed. I mean, it looks fantastic. It looks better than Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 1 is one of the, is an amazing looking game. It doesn't run quite as fast as Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 will gallop along at 60 frames a second most of the time. Ooh. Oh, there's that thing again. There's another tank. There seems to be a lot of enemy tanks on this. Oh, we hit him. Oh, another hit. They don't do much damage, those. Are they Panzerfaust, those? Yeah, so it doesn't run as well as Battlefield 1, but it does run okay, even on low. And also, Battlefield does have a built-in, it's like an FSR, so you can set the render rate to be lower than the actual display rate, and the game itself will upscale like FSR or DLSS, and that's in the settings. You can... Ooh, I'm probably going to die again here. I don't really know the maps very well. You can, of course, reduce the resolution in the game, and the Steam Deck's OS level FSR may well cut in, but I'm not quite sure if you can lower it enough for it to do that anyway. So should we come back as a different character so you can have a better look round? Now, the problem with Battlefield 5 that it had... Oh, did I get that guy, did I? Is... DICE missed a massive opportunity with Battlefield 5. They were coming off the success... Oh my god, there's another baddie tank. They're all over the place, aren't they? And really, all they had to do was reskin Battlefield 1 into World War II. And I remember at the time making videos in the run-up to Battlefield 5 saying, we didn't really want that. We wanted Battlefield 5 to be its own game. Unfortunately... They did make its own game, and I think DICE really got a bit too big for their own boots with Battlefield 5, because they kind of forgot a lot of the lessons that they'd learned from Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, and didn't give the players, the community, what they would have wanted. I really want to get away from these. And so, although Battlefield 5 looks great, they chose to include maps of all these battlefields that players weren't really familiar with. So, for example, you'd expect really in a World War II battlefield game to have D-Day, wouldn't you? But they decided not to put that in. And I'm not saying that any of these battlefields that they did include, these areas they did include, weren't worth inclusion, because they are, and they were, because obviously they were important theatres of war. But it meant that people weren't always that familiar with what was going on. They also changed some of the core game mechanics in the way the controls worked, which was a bit disappointing. And it also, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way, but it also became very woke in the fact that you can play as like a woman in Battlefield 5. Now, I've got no problem, lots of women fought in World War II, but they definitely didn't fight in the British or American armies, in infantry uniforms. And so you're playing this game, and it breaks immersion because you can shout for help, and you've got these ladies shouting for help, going, "Help, I'm injured, come and save me." And you're like, oh, okay. And it just kind of angered a lot of the community. It was like, look, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why are you making it woke? In other ways as well that they did. And EA basically said, well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. which is a terrible thing to say. And so then it launched, and there wasn't that much content. The single player campaign looks amazing, but the actual storytelling is a bit crap, with all these odd stories they decided to concentrate on, and people were just really disappointed with Battlefield 5. The maps in particular, like this is a great example of this map with how flat it is, and a lot of the maps don't really have that much verticality, which means that they're not the best to kind of play on. Is that an enemy tank over there? And so what I would kind of say does it run well on the Steam Deck? It does. I mean, you should be able to see here. It looks pretty. I mean, it looks pretty amazing. Guess me. So it runs well. However, that's a friendly tank. It's not the best Battlefield by far. But if you want a taste of what Battlefield is like, then really this is kind of your only option, really. What I would recommend people do is I would wait for the Battlefield pack to go on sale on Steam. And what the Battlefield pack normally includes is you get Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and I think Battlefield 2042, normally for about £20 or $20, which is really good. And that way you can install Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1. And if you're in the UK, fire up Battlefield 1 in the evenings, or play the single player, because the single player is fantastic in Battlefield 1. And then at other times you can play Battlefield 5. And I'm sure once you get to know the maps and you get to know the characters, get to know the classes, Battlefield 5, you can have a lot of fun with it, and just look how amazing it looks. But until then, it's not a brilliant gameplay experience. So there we go, Battlefield 5. I mean, it looks absolutely stunning. Looks stunning, plays really nicely on the deck. It's just not the best Battlefield game in terms of gameplay and maps and immersion, which is a bit of a shame. Like, this is an interesting thing here. So there we go. As a sniper, I can still revive. They kind of abandoned the class system, really. So as a sniper, I can revive a teammate. But instead of jabbing someone with a syringe like in Battlefield 1, which was nice and fast, or zapping them with the paddles like in Battlefield 4, there's lots of things where you've got to hold stuff, and that's disappointing. So there we go. I know this has been a bit of a confusing video. It's been quite hard, actually, to talk while I'm playing Battlefield 5. But it runs smoothly. It plays okay, but it's not the best Battlefield. But in terms of probably the best Battlefield to play, because it's got lots of people still playing it, that makes it a good choice. Anyway, that's enough from me. What do you think? Put your questions and comments down below. And, of course, I'll see you again soon.